It's like they're great people. I don't like.
Well, I tell you what you get to explain to people is, do y'all know the efficiency of full dentures? 20%. So if you have all your teeth now, that's 100%. If you put full dentures in, you'll have 20% function. So you're not going to be able to chew at all.
So are those the same as like the cosmetic, where they, like all the Hollywood celebrities get,
The veneers.
Yeah, veneers. Yeah.
Well, veneers are tough because they tend to come off. If you're going to go ahead and get that done, just put a full crown on there where it doesn't come off, and you have a lot of function. But it's very expensive to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it's $100 to extract a tooth, and it's $1,000 to save it.
Yeah.
Medicine's a necessity. Dentistry is a luxury.
Yeah.
Don't they have implants now where they can screw in a real tooth?
Here's by the way, outreach guys, we're on a dentistry discussion here. I know you thought you're on the right TV show, but no. Yeah. So anyway, I was a dentist for 10 years. Implants are great, except for the mouth is a very live bacterial. It's filthy. I know we all brushed our teeth this morning, but what happens with implants is you screw them down in the bone. Okay, it'd be great if you had bone filler all the way in. Sometimes you get a gap between the bone and the implant, and bacteria just floods right in there. Implants are better than dentures, no question about it. But we're doing better with longevity.
You know how hard it is to get into dental school now? It's so hard to get into dental school now. That's what everyone wants to do.
Everyone?
Not me, but
I don't know. I would have considered it.
they don't work on Fridays. Did you?
I'm sorry?
Did you work on Friday?
Of course I did. Linda was my receptionist. Of course I worked on Friday.
Aww, that's sweet.
Yeah, I'd take off. She'd go, "Where are you going?" You think you're going to have the afternoon off? No. Yeah, it's somewhat difficult, but here's what's happened. I think 60-something% of dental school students are female. They have absolute control over their time. And women have huge advantage. Your hands are smaller. You have actually better touch than men. And so they're doing a great job doing that. But they can have children, and they take their kids to school, then go to work, then they're done at 2 or 3 before the kids get home. So they've got total control over their time. And so I think that's probably what's happened, and the competition has gotten pretty tough. So it's, and remember, those poor men and women, they're doing the same thing every day that they're going to do for 40 years. At least you guys won't have to do that. I'll tell you all a story that happened this morning. I was talking to my department head, and she said that when they put this class in for approval, this was last year before last, they had enormous objections from the College of Engineering and the Science and Mathematics. And the engineering led the way, and their comment was, "We own AI."
How does that work?
They've always owned it.
Okay.
They have always owned it. It's always been in computer science inside engineering.
Oh, gotcha.
So science and math got around it by putting a data science master's program in. It may also be an undergraduate major. Okay, now I want y'all to think. You're the only people on this campus who understand the 3 blobs: business professionals, analysts, and data scientists. Okay, so here you have engineering and COSAM squawking. I prefer the term bitching, but they were squawking. Okay? What were they squawking about? They had no damn idea about those 3 groups. Science and math and engineering are flat on data scientists. Okay? You guys are in the other 2. And that's the reason when you try to democratize something, basically we're trying to disrupt those clowns. Okay? They don't want to be disrupted. They were afraid that everybody would thunder over here. So that's an interesting thing when you realize, what's going on at Tennessee? I did not know this. I've got to go up there November 17th. I was telling you guys. They have formed a new college at Tennessee. Now, I've always thought of Tennessee as a university that Best thing they can do is sing Rocky Top. But here's what they did. They got pushback from business and engineering and everything in Tennessee, so they formed a new college. It's a college of artificial intelligence and collaborative sciences. Those are the people I've got to go up there and talk to. Now, what they've done, they've got a major in artificial intelligence. Okay, now they're making a big mistake there, but they do have it. So what they've done is they'll take any student from the campus and you major in whatever you want to. Human sciences back here, engineering, business, and you can minor in this new college. Or you can major in the new college and minor in another college. So you can be an accounting major with a minor in this college, or a major in this college and a minor in accounting. Stroke of genius. They had 12 students this time last year, majors. This year they have 130. Next year they'll have 1,000. Because think about it. Think of the flexibility. It's a stroke of genius. How could they think of this in Knoxville? Seriously, the air's thin up there. But here's the deal. What are we doing? We're listening to the bitching. It's a turf battle. I couldn't believe my apartment head was telling me how. Oh, by the way, that had to go to the provost.
Oh, wow.
Went straight up to Vinny's desk.
I saw that they're finally offering it to undergrads for the spring.
Who we are?
I think so.
Well, yeah, that took some.
Only at 8 a.m. though. Ooh. Isn't it at 8 a.m.?
8 a.m.? I tried for 7 a.m. Well, when I was undergraduate here, we had 7 o'clock classes. What's the matter with you guys?
Jesus.
Might as well get ready for the real world. I mean, seriously. You know what changed? You know what went to the provost's office? That picture of the 3 groups.
Mm.
It really helps when you have higher level administrators. You got to show them pictures.
Visual learners.
Y'all think I'm kidding? My dad was provost here. When he was, my brother and I had to show him pictures all the time. Y'all think I'm kidding? You hadn't fought those battles.
This is a visual learner. Did you see, speaking of Deloitte in Australia got in trouble with an AI thing. The thing was, it wasn't even noticed until months after they had delivered it to the government, and it was an academic researcher who was reviewing it that realized it was all nonsense. And
Let's hear it for academics. Yeah. It was all hallucination.
Yeah.
Deloitte stroked a check, by the way.
Yeah, it was like $400,000 or something like that. Yeah.
Did not even apologize.
Yeah.
Didn't even own up to their mistake. They just.
Well, let me tell you what. Whoever the Deloitte partner was in charge of that thing, you'll notice nothing was said about that man or woman. I don't know who's running that show, but it's a partner in charge of or associate partner of that level of contract. You don't want to be in that job. Actually, you just joined the NFL. Not for long. Whew. So yeah, that's the battle. I didn't even know that battle was going on around here. I really didn't. Didn't get this course put on the books. You know what we're going to do? We're going to put this under another course heading. Just some, like the research studies or something like that. Then you can't get the word out.
Special problems.
Special problems, that's it. Yeah, where you can put anything, you know.
It's listed in the analytics electives as introduction to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's the battle that my department had to fight. Now, as I've said, we move slower than glaciers. I'm very disappointed that Tennessee has jumped our claim.
If you put that on a picture, you might be able to get our own college.
You take a picture of the building.
And then you can put your name on it.
Our president, which college did he come from?
Engineer.
He's an engineer. Yep. So tell me about forming a new college. See, there's an administrative overhead. With a new college, you have to have a dean, an associate dean, infrastructure people, you know, that sort of thing. And that costs money. We wouldn't want to be out in front now, would we? I used to think I was irritated at dentistry. No, it's nothing like this. Academia's, oh man. Okay, back to where we are. I was gonna tell y'all, the front end of these projects is what we're on right now. Everything we talked about in chapter 3 is basically front end stuff. You gotta think about the process you wanna address. You gotta go through the strategy, the mission, the objectives. You gotta get an executive sponsor. Once again, somebody's gotta stroke the checks. Then you get that to model metrics and organizational KPIs. All of this is thought. You haven't done anything yet. You haven't moved past business professionals, business analysts. You have not brought in the data scientists yet. You're on the business side of things. So this is non-trivial. You guys know what model metrics are. Precision, accuracy, recall, F1 score, that sort of thing. Organizational KPIs, you come through the business school, so you understand key performance indicators. These things change, the KPIs change depending on the process. So you've got to figure out a way, probably with a picture, but think about this. Our administrators, corporate executives, they love pictures. Okay? That's why PowerPoints are so important. Right? You've got a gap here between model metrics and KPIs. You're going to have to make this linkage. This is the business side of things on KPIs. These are your business analysts, data scientists, and you guys when you get through this course about model metrics. So these are values. They determine effectiveness, efficiency. Are you reaching your business objectives? This is a non-trivial discussion, regardless of what performance you're going to go after, what process. So you're going to have to figure out, first thing, key performance indicators on the business side that goes with the machine learning project. Think UPS. Their KPIs are very simple. Can I get all my trucks back on time empty? Pretty straightforward. I want to minimize amount driven, minimize emissions, amount of gasoline used, driver time. No, the bottom line is how many packages are still on the truck when I get back. Okay, so you're going to map these things, keep the performance metrics, business outcomes. You'll do that regardless. And then when you get this, here's your picture. Anybody doing visualization? Anybody come through analytics and do? We have data visualization. Is that a whole course? You do a whole course on dashboards?
Yeah, they go through.
It's like half of it.
There's a master's one.
There's a lot of smiling going on here. Y'all have to help me with that.
They do SAS, Power BI, and then Tableau. So you do each one
to come up with a dashboard, right? Are the dashboards interactive that y'all do? Are they static?
At the end?
At the end, you're smiling. Was it did you beat it to death? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it took it like 2 years ago.
Okay, out of a 14-week class, can they fill it up with content? I'm just curious.
Kind of. I mean, there was a lot of looking at other dashboards, and looks good on the resume though.
Let's do what?
Looks good on the resume though.
Well, that's true. That's true.
There's an analytics course that's just descriptive analytics, and like half of it is spent on Tableau doing dashboards.
Is that a sophomore or junior level?
Yeah, it's
Tom Cush's course.
It's Gupta. It was I took it as a junior.
Okay.
I never had to do Tableau.
I'm just curious because probably your analysts are going to develop these dashboards. It's a great idea to have your performance metrics right next to your KPIs so you can point from one to the other. By the way, there's not always a one-to-one comparison here. And then, of course, you're going to adjust this. Now, as I said, the data never stops coming. So you get to do the review and adjustment. And this comes in with the business professionals. So that's your 4 steps. American Express did a good job here. They came up with credit card fraud, which we're all familiar with, fraudulent credit card transactions. We've discussed it thoroughly. I've got to have technical metrics and the model metrics and the business KPIs. Okay, that's great. Naturally, their model metrics, they want to map them to the KPIs, so you immediately think of false positives. Now, wrongly flagged legitimate transactions. Customer satisfaction, false positive means you get declined unnecessarily. Then they're looking at a net promoter score. Now, I didn't know what that was, but it's a customer loyalty metric. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you as a customer to recommend the company? product or service. Okay, that's fine. False negatives, you miss the actual fraud, you get a financial loss because it has a specific dollar cost, which American Express and every credit card company can assign, because if the actual fraud goes through, by the way, who pays for that? You just bought a 50-inch TV for $800 and it's fraudulent, but it slips through. Does American Express pay for that?
No, it's
No,
business.
whoever sold the vendor, okay, the TV store. But that strikes to the heart of American Express because they've got to work their way through this, and that is their fraud loss rate, because they do have a human cost in terms of dollars to handle each one of these. Now, in this particular case, a false positive doesn't do anything except irritate us a little bit. But any of us would rather have false positives than false negatives, okay, in fraudulent credit cards. So this shows that your credit card company is on the ball. Most people actually think about this sort of positively, as long as it doesn't happen too much. False negative, now you get to talk with the vendor and everything. This irritates your customers more. So this is what they did. When you say you improve the false positive rate, that means they dropped it 21%. Customer complaints declined. This is fine. Their net promoter score increased. What's fascinating is we don't have many choices. At American Express, you got Visa, you got MasterCard. It's great to have a net promoter score, but y'all switch back and forth, or y'all have debit cards too, right? Okay, so that seems to be a little bit dicey, but some customers will jump back and forth. Transaction volume, I think that's a stretch. Some people use their card, some people don't, more than others. Then the false positives and negatives ties right into the business outcome. So it's very cool. It works out very well. And by the way, who watches this rate, this false positive rate? The machine or the people? Yeah, a machine learning system monitors it. Then if it gets over a certain level, a human gets notified. Bottom line, everything worked out well. So that works out fine. Now, that's just nice and simple. We're going to beat change management to death here in a minute. But I'm going to do this again. I love it. Only does that on Wednesdays. Okay, so here's Deloitte, gigantic consulting company. Different business areas have different KPIs, like we talked about, depending on the process. They've got machine learning tools for their business functions. There's auditing, tax, and risk. So what they do, they've got their KPIs for each one of these major areas. Time savings, risk identification, and then tell us doing what? Tax compliance accuracy, processing time, tax savings. They keep all this. Argus, of course, does their contract risk. So this is exactly what you would expect. Different processes, different KPIs. Now, what are you going to do about technical capabilities? Their Cura programs, natural language processing for contract analysis. So they're looking for accuracy and they're looking for business outcomes, of course, due diligence, regulatory compliance, naturally. Then my natural language performance for tax, business outcomes, reduced manual review time, and increased tax savings. Okay, that's fine. Labor-wise, handles workforce cost, labor cost documentation, and compliance risk. Okay, this is pretty much what you'd expect. Then you get into their dashboards. They really like Reveal and Cortex, and so that's where their visualization dashboard is. And the idea is, again, as you guys have developed yours, put the technical metrics next to the KPIs and make it in a nice picture. One thing you can do very quickly is you can blow up your PowerPoints in a heartbeat. Okay, you can put too much information on them. So I imagine you all ran through that. It's easier to use multiple PowerPoints than it is to try to shove everything on one, particularly if it gets small. Well, Amazon's pros, they're professionals at this naturally. There's e-commerce, and you can see all the metrics they track, by the way. Sales volume, inventory management, pricing strategies, are those KPIs or those technical metrics?
Technical metrics.
Those, let me think, sales volume, inventory management, are those model metrics? I think it's technical metrics or those business track. Those are all business. Your model metrics are going to be precision, recall, and accuracy. So don't get confused between what we're talking about here on the business side versus the actual machine learning model. And then you can tie them into their recommendation systems and dynamic pricing. Customer experience, customer satisfaction naturally, and this ties in again to recommendation and customer service. These are all, we're still in the business here, business KPIs. Supply chain, naturally delivery times, efficiency, you would expect. Security, data breaches, okay. Regulatory compliance, this gets into very interesting across regions. That could be county, city, states, countries, and so forth. And then changes in requirements. This is all what you would expect. All right. There's an electronic commerce KPI right there, conversion rate. What's conversion rate?
That be from
Is it when you make a sale?
Yeah, did you buy something? You've gone through their website. They track it through there. As a matter of fact, they can map their website. Looks like a Christmas tree. Okay, what's the splash page of Google look like? Y'all know what a splash page is? The first page you get to. Contrast the Google splash page and the Amazon splash page.
a lot of stuff.
What's the difference?
There's just a bunch of stuff in your face.
Yeah, Amazon's very busy. There must be 20, 30 links to click on or more on there, just on the first node. Google, blank space. Just have the search bar. And little tiny letters up to the top that have all the other functions. You know, maps and Google Drive and all that, just a series of dots. God, they want you searching.
It's like Google versus Bing, where Bing's got all the news and
Sure, just anything you could possibly cram on the page. Okay, so you look at that and you say, okay, I've got you wandering through a Christmas tree, and they map every single page. The root page, the splash page is here. In this Amazon case, it'll have 30 other pages that you can get to at least, and just the tree just goes this way. Then you can map every customer's path through the tree. You know, you can use a jitter function, and you can literally map many thousands of paths through this tree down here to where somebody on any step of the way has made a decision to buy or not buy. Okay, so that's conversion rate. By the way, if you're the webmaster at Amazon, you call these trees all the time. Okay, unused links. So I'm looking at conversion rates, and Amazon, of course, is pulling click-through data, which is the electronic version of point-of-sale terminal data. So it's a data stream. As while we're sitting here today, what's it doing? It's just funneling through there. Okay. Don't forget, they're international. They run 24/7. All right. So I want to optimize the customer experience, which means I want to improve my conversion rate. Now, this is nice that the KPI is right to the recommendation system. That's part of it. Again, like I told you, they love to break up your filter bubbles. And so they want recommendation systems to drive the revenue, naturally, accuracy, click-through, demand forecasting, inventory efficiency. Amazon is really good at this. Okay, they're first ones that I know of that pre-positioned predicted goods to fulfillment centers. And they have top-notch demand forecasting, really drives their supply chain model. Okay, fraud detection leads to trust, route optimization leads to delivery speed, all of which we're all familiar with, but they literally measure it. Precision and recall, these models, these are technical metrics, okay, model metrics, and they impact customer search. Then down here, they have model performance that you can decide on these optimization on the routes. and delivery time reduction. All of this constantly monitored. Okay, they got their problem with fraud detection, of course, third-party sellers. So I've got to do accuracy, precision, and recall for detecting fake reviews and for counterfeit goods. So these metrics directly impact the business KPI. Now, this goes into marketplace trust and customer satisfaction, which what's interesting is how do you determine customer satisfaction? You'll do it through the reviews and the comments, which means you have to use natural language processing. Okay, so they're good at that too. If I detect fake reviews, gives me better precision and recall, then I get improved trust. All this is good news. Now, cross-functional, that gets to be a little more tricky because when you say cross-functional, you're moving across business processes. So you want all your stakeholders, your customers, your partners, your business partners, your sellers, to give some visibility in how their machine learning initiatives are working. That's really tricky. First of all, your machine learning is working in real time. So then you kind of wonder how much do I want to give stakeholders the visibility. So that requires human in the loop. All this is real time. No question about it. You have no choice, especially when you're using web services. So their dashboards track all these. They're generally designed for executives, but now, of course, we've moved those down in the ranks. These used to be called executive information systems. Naturally, the executives all have them tailored to each executive, depending on what the executive does, and so they can watch and see what's happening. You've got a situation here with dashboards. Did they talk this to you guys about how often you refresh them? Okay, it doesn't do you any good if you're an executive watching a dashboard. It's changing while you're looking at it. Okay, you got things to do. One of the things is not to get in the weeds. Okay, so you got to worry about refresh rates. And so you look through this, you say, well, probably just basically ask the executive. And he or she is going to say how often they want it refreshed. And it kind of depends on what they're looking at that day. You can do this on the fly, but it's a lot more difficult. Continuous improvement, this comes through with monitoring and maintenance of your system. You're going to have these adjustments here, especially with model drift that we'll get to. New challenges. People are doing a great job here, unfortunately, with generative AI generating fake reviews. The fake review farms are all using GPT and all the other large language models to come up with really good or better fake reviews. But the thing is, where it used to take us a while to write a fake review, now you can generate 10,000 of them at one time. So that's got to be a problem. As a matter of fact, identifying GPT, as we all know, their outputs are difficult. So Amazon has had to up its game to much more sophisticated network behavior analysis and temporal analysis, time analysis. How fast are these reviews coming in? Are they coming in batches, et cetera? So this is something, to its credit, Amazon doesn't talk about much. As this gets worse, thanks to Sam Altman and GPT, et cetera, then this has to get better. That's probably true throughout the industry with any recommendation engine. So here's what they've looked at. Revenue growth has increased. It also increased in 2024. On-time delivery rates, delivery speed, customer satisfaction, everything's looking good. Their product removal rates, counterfeit product removal rates, that's a little bit slower because you have to wait for customers to pick up on these things. And then workplace safety, that has turned out to be a bone of contention because I will tell you they work their people to death in fulfillment centers. It's not all robots. So there are the metrics. Model performance, recommendation accuracy, demand forecast error naturally, precision recall of fraud, optimization efficiency. All of these are machine learning fortes. Workforce scheduling. That, unfortunately, is based on piece rate and just on hours. There's a big question now about putting sensors on workers that are doing physical labor all the time, say in a fulfillment center like that, or the Kia plant over here, the Hyundai plant over there, to measure stress on joints and the amount of time that they're standing up, et cetera, stuff like that. That's going to be expensive, but there's some talk along those lines. Also, by the way, if you do get censored up as a worker, you're providing machine learning data for the robots. So, natural language, of course, comprehend medical and Amazon Translate. This is kind of off to the side. I do think Amazon is going to go into medicine, into healthcare. Their optimization supply chain, best in the business, forecast accuracy, inventory turnover. It's interesting, if you have a very high inventory turnover rate, you got to be very careful about out of stock. This comes into, you're in the electronic world here, translating in the physical world to get products to us through Amazon Prime. So you pay attention to this, and Amazon has been sweating this period right now for the last year. Is that for a lead time because their hot season's coming up? Forecast accuracy, which is the model metric, leads directly to better inventory turnover and fewer stockouts. Okay, and you look at this and you look at it and you go, oh, of course. Well, then you think they're in 200 countries. And somehow you guys have to work hard if you work for Amazon so Jeff can pay for his yacht. Okay?
Which one?
Well, that's right. Several of those, not to mention his airplanes. Okay. So customer experience, this is all of us. Your click-through rate, we don't have to worry about it, but you'd like to find what you were looking for. And every one of us looks through the recommendations. Order value, customer lifetime value, how much do you order on Amazon, and all this kind of stuff. This gets fascinating because Amazon sells everything. So I wonder how much that differentiates. It'd be interesting to know. Recommendation relevance, that's your model metric. Increased order values and customer loyalty. What's a competitor to Amazon?
Walmart.
Okay. What's it like going on Walmart.com versus Amazon?
I know there's a big problem with Walmart with shady third-party sellers because they wanted to compete with Amazon where they had third-party sellers, but they were too loose, and now there's a bunch of scams essentially on the Walmart website that they're trying to clean up.
Okay, so they need to be emulating what Amazon's doing, trying to weed out counterfeit products and shady third party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never used Walmart.com. It's just a default option. I go to Amazon. That's just laziness. But do y'all pretty much do that, or do you?
Yeah, just Amazon.
Good. Yeah, I don't do Home Depot or Office Depot or any of that stuff. I just go straight to Amazon. Sorry, I'm lazy. Industry, Okay, and then of course, fraud prediction, which is exactly what you're talking about. This is not only shady third party, but counterfeit detection. This unfortunately, some of the counterfeits look really good when you get them and you open the box and they fall apart. And you read the customer reviews. And then, of course, the business KPI, customer trust and returns. And then the model metrics. False positive, negatives, of course, same thing. So that's a nice way to look at something. It's a very complex procedure. We talked about American Express. I was going to get into a little more. This is their cost per dollar of fraud prevented. Okay, they can literally measure this, how much it costs when you identify a fraudulent transaction. So this is And the response time has to be very, very quick. Yeah, they've done a good job, but then of course they have their customer satisfaction score, and you'll get this with feedback from the customers. And notice the ratio of correctly identified fraudulent to incorrectly flagged non-fraudulent. This is really an interesting ratio because it gives you an idea about how sensitive it is. False positives over false negatives. Starbucks came up with Deep Brew. They wanted to enhance the customer experience. How's the customer experience with Starbucks for you guys? We have one here in the building. The outreach students don't realize we're a Starbucks factory here. Okay. Now, if you go in there at 8 o'clock in the morning, what do you find?
A lot of people.
Got a line out the door, and what's the machine up front doing? It's going beep, 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 beep with call-in orders from all of you who have the app. So those of us standing in line without the app, the baristas are getting slaughtered with all the call-ins. And there's 30 drinks off to the side with numbers and names on them, and people just walk in and pick it up, where all of us in line are going, you just failed the class. If I see a student of mine picking up something like that, oh man, they lose a letter grade right away. So it's a disaster. And they don't have enough baristas to run two lines, the call-in line and the human line. So they look at this and they want to go, I want to enhance the customer experience. Well, that's the quickest way I can think of, other than doubling up on the number of baristas. Customer preferences, good luck with this. I've never seen anything like the orders you guys give. My order, hot latte, 12 ounce. You guys are this long. You have 32 things with pumps of this and this, it's like this long. How do they do it? How do you predict that?
I think it's maybe macro trends I know they're starting to move now towards like protein or, different diets and stuff. And so I don't think it's necessarily on the individual customer level, but with just overall, current trends and preferences.
Well, let me tell you what I was told the other day. I was in there talking to the manager in here, and it was about 9:30 because you guys had already gotten all your drinks. I cleared out. And I said, let me ask you a question. How do you predict customer preferences? Because I asked him about Deep Brew. And she. And she looked at me, she said, well, when customers get to be your age, they have simpler orders. I loved it. I said, is that like a general rule? She said, oh yeah. I said, senior citizens have simpler orders. I had no idea. That's a pretty good metric though.
Yeah.
Old fart walks in, black coffee. Excellent. Optimized store inventory, naturally. Staffing levels, good luck with that. Maintenance schedules, we've all seen the equipment go down. That is a high velocity place. Mm-hmm. Okay, personalize the customer experience, that's all you guys call it in, I guess. Optimization here, product development, that's what you're talking about. Protein, I had not thought about the protein drinks. Y'all take protein in your stuff, like creatine or something? They don't offer that. Starting to really worry about you guys. So they embedded Deep Brew into the mobile app. Well, naturally, that drives all the rest of us crazy. And here's the metrics, predictive accuracy and click-through rate. Well, once again, we're on the app. And how effectively the model predicts preferences and drives engagement. Fantastic. The humans are still screwed. All right, so you get this. All this stuff comes from that mobile app. So 5% prediction accuracy, 2% rise in app usage, and a 1% increase in in-store visits. That's just to come in and pick up your drink. So a 10% improvement click-through rate, 3% increase in monthly average customer spending. Okay, that's a lot of money. They got a lot of stores. Have you ever seen anybody walk out of the back of that line? I sure have. If it's out the door, a lot of people just keep right on walking right by there. Okay, that's an Amazon dashboard. You guys have all developed these things. A lot of information on that naturally. All depends on what you're looking for. These are different, in this case, higher level managers. That's an airline, on-time performance. A lot of dashboards that you can imagine. Basically, you sit down with your manager and he or she tells you what they want on there. That's manufacturing, any metric you can think of. Netflix, of course, we're all familiar with the top 10 genres here. Okay, TV, movies, and TV shows by country. What we got here? The ratings, total movies and TV shows by years, etc. Personally, red on black makes me crazy. That's the Netflix logo. I can't think of a worse color sequence, personally. But I guess if you're Netflix, you're going to go with red on black. KPI dashboard here for a bank. It'd be nice if everything's in the green. Forecast, spend, cash flow, assets. There's your income statement. Oh, you're in the red here. And then liabilities. But it does let you scan it with the old traffic light metaphor. I'm sure you all use that. Red, green, blue. Red, green, yellow. What can I say? Yeah, okay. Insurance company there. This is the sales funnel. Okay, you make these, all this, people take a look at it, they come down, they filter down until hopefully you get a good conversion rate. That's pretty standard. All sales dashboards do that. So there's a lot going on here. Basically, when you're linking metrics to KPIs, that's your sweet spot. Business professionals. So we're going to take you into the realm of sociology. We learned about change management with the UPS case. There's always pushback. This is what you deal with. We're right in the middle of it. Organizational transitions. You can boil every single thing here that I talk about on change management to, am I going to lose my job? Not change my job, am I going to have my job next week? And it always comes to that, especially if you're a consultant. So they always put steps down here. This used to be information technology. If you're going to bring an information technology system into a company, everybody would wonder, am I going to lose my job? Now it's gotten worse with machine learning. Organizational readiness. I think this is really nice to have. I can't imagine an executive sponsor who has to survive, the company has to survive, the competition's going to machine learning, worrying too much about if everybody fills out a questionnaire. That, for me, is not so much what do you think about it, is let me assess the skill set. What do we have in the organization? Does anyone have any idea what machine learning is? And this is why you guys are all seeing the word reskilling out in the marketplace. It's an ongoing process and it's accelerating. The strategy here is the key to address concerns and build support. My recommendation here, when I have talked to companies, I said, stop lying to people. You can't tell them that their jobs aren't at risk. You can't tell them their jobs won't be changed. Training and upskilling, this very much helps here to here. If you'll notice what happened with Accenture, their new CEO took over and she said that basically we're going to fire everybody that doesn't upskill. She wasn't kidding. And so what happens is you put your communications out there. You say we're going to offer you training and upskilling. If you decide not to take it, there's the door. And so these two come hand in hand, no question about it. The cultural shift that's a problem because this is the way I've always done it, and I really don't want to change that, said all the UPS shipping center managers. I know what goes on which trucks. Feedback loops, that's a good idea as long as you have time to listen. We move pretty quickly out there. And then cross-functional oversight, that looks like it came out of a management article. We do have oversight committees for governance. Oh, there's governance. This is a really big deal. This strikes at the heart of your emotional quotients. Sympathy, empathy, listening skills. I don't see a lot of negotiation in here, but this is tough. There's nothing easy about this. Okay. Now, governance, all business professionals. Obviously, we have a nice long management definition up here, but you put governance in the strategy, you got to have the structures, and you will have. Policies and guidelines, this is where we are. We've got this with traditional machine learning, the blocking and tackling. We do not have this with generative AI, this is why we're seeing 95% of generative AI projects failing. And so what they do is the media puts the article in there and says 95% of AI projects fail. That's all it says. It's all generative AI, and so everybody panics and they forget about the blocking and tackling. So don't get confused. We got another thing coming along here. We don't have governance structures for generative AI. We have shadow generative AI. A lot of people are using it and not telling their companies that they are. Okay, now you've got a big job on your hands. It's due Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Today's Wednesday afternoon, so you've got ordinarily 4 days, but it turns out that your kids are playing travel ball, so you're going to be on the road with your husband, and one of you's going to soccer, the other one's going to fall baseball, and so there goes your weekend. So you've got Thursday and Friday to get this thing done, or you're going to be staying up very late at night, and you decide that you're going to put in a gigantic corporate spreadsheet right into Claude or GPT. Sensitive corporate spreadsheet. Oops. That may fit in the strategy because you got to get your work done. You know, they don't have a governance structure there if you use it on your own private computer. Policies and guidelines probably said don't enter corporate data into a generative AI package. Even on private mode, they'll still keep it for 30 days depending on the package. So you got to be very careful there. And so you're sitting here, you got to get your work done. This is shadow generative AI. And it is really ticklish. And so we're not here yet. We're obviously here with traditional machine learning because we've had 50 years of practice. And then laws and laws and regulations. It's one thing to do that in a company that's doing logistics, although you may run afoul of regulations there, but it's another thing to do it in big pharma. You're looking at drug-drug interactions or bringing a drug to market, or banking, or anything with customer on it. See, you may have a gigantic spreadsheet and you may not have time to de-identify the data from 800,000 records. So this turns out to be an interesting problem, let's put it that way. So data lineage, we take a very close look at our data. You guys all know now how important data is. And lineage means where did it come from, how's it move through your company, not only what transformations have been done to the data, think imputation encoding, who did it, okay? Here, traceability, I got to figure out all this by tracking and documenting. So there you go. If this ends up and your data, and especially if it's sensitive proprietary data, ends up in some Gen AI package, it shows up on the internet, if they have traceability and they find out it's you, go ahead and pack. Okay, just go into your office and get a box. Well, this is not good. And then ethics comes into, of course, you've got to be very careful that whatever you do in machine learning is applied to everyone equally. That's part of the governance. So this is where you end up, and tell you what. Okay, we're going to do this Monday because I want to show these examples of change management. Think sensitivity there, guys. Think sensitivity. Okay, I'll see you Monday. Good luck to us this weekend. Stressed already.